This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Cabana Republic for this game number 1 of this series. We have got as the orange Soviets on the right side. This is Harlen. And on the left side, playing the Cyan Empire, give it up for Zugspitze. Little bit of background on this match. It's from something at some time, somewhere. And in that moment, Sybert had no idea how much trouble he had gotten himself into. When he accepted that replay pack, his fate was sealed. And as he would soon learn, it was a dark and desynchronous fate that had been thrust upon him. This was played in early February 2024, relatively recent for the time that I'm recording this, and it is from a Chinese tournament. However, I don't know exactly where this is in the tournament. It's some kind of a series. I don't know exactly how long, so these replays were sent over. I got a pack basically of Harlen vs. Zugspitze and Harlen vs. OP Shizhao, and they were played on 2 different days. Each played a series versus Harlen on a different day, one on the 4th of February and one on the 5th. And so it appears that there are 4 series. I don't know how you end up with 2 different players playing the same guy twice, and when I was linked the bracket, I noticed that in that particular tournament, OP Shizhao got eliminated very quickly. So either there's some mislabeling of something. Fighting for the buildings in the middle of the map, by the way. It looks like, for the most part, Harlen will control the middle of the map. And unfortunately for OP Shizhao, he did not get both of the oil derricks here at the start, but he does at least have his oil derrick. This second dojo is going to get grabbed by that terror drone. So yeah, these are going to be 4 series. I'm going to upload them as 4 separate videos. I think some of them are related to the same event, but I'm not exactly sure how. I think they may have gotten a little bit scrambled. By the way, we have Super Reactor and War Factory out for our Soviets players, and he's going for hammer tanks. He's going to have his mid-game Soviet tech well before his 3rd refinery, and dojo will go down. So yeah, we've got ourselves a couple of different series. They appear to be different lengths as well, but maybe they're from the same tournament and just the bracket was not correct, and that's why OP Shizhao is in some of these. But yeah, it is going to be, hopefully, a bunch of good games, because it's a bunch of 1v1s, some players that we don't get to see quite as often. OP Shizhao, Harlen, Zugspitze, we've seen them a bit here and there over the last couple of years. We've seen them in some events, but we don't always get to see a lot of them. And, well, we get to with these 4 series. Up to Tier 2 for Zugspitze, we get ourselves a Tier 2 Soviets and a Tier 2 Empire here on Cabana Republic. And Zugspitze actually goes for the observation post as well. I'm not sure if that was just the engineer is going to die, so I'm going to send it into this building so that I at least get something for it instead of it just dying, or if he really does believe that having that observation post is key to his victory. One side of the wall is left open and a sentry gun is placed there. That is the defensive strategy that Harlen is going for here. Zugspitze trading out with these buildings in the middle of the map, trying to maintain some kind of control on these buildings. He wants the map vision, he wants the map presence, but of course it's difficult to do that against a Soviet player unless you've got a play going on somewhere else that is distracting them. But a good player like Harlen is going to be able to clear out those buildings with the Molotov cocktails, no problemo. Couple of hammer tanks and MCV into the middle of the map. Engineer is going to try once again to sneak around the north side of the map and grab that oil derrick, but there's a hammer tank that is going to be in the vicinity. We will see if that hammer tank ends up getting sent up there. Oh, this poor engineer. He's going to have to wait offshore for a little while and hope that these Soviet units get recalled to a different location and that no terror drone is sent up there. Nope, he gets sent and he just takes the other observation post. Because you might as well. I mean, the engineer is going to die. You might as well get something. That Imperial Warrior dodging, but, you know, the Bullfrog kind of pushing him out of the way which is so funny. The size of the model for the Bullfrog versus what they actually do. And that's supposed to be a Flak Trooper inside of that wall. Flak Trooper does end up going down. I guess he didn't switch to his magnetic mines in time. Both of the Harvesters going to be going into that armor mode, and they will be offline in terms of harvesting for a little while. Mecha Tengu is going to have bought enough time to transform and escape for the current moment, but this Harvester, unfortunately, he can't transform and fly away, so it will go down to the Hammer Tanks, and honestly, they can just get out of there. They have done the bit of damage that they were probably looking for, and they can go somewhere else now. Conscript left over just to watch that area of the map. Make sure that no more sneaky engineers get sent over to capture that building. Decent number of conscripts running around the map from Harlen. That's something that we don't necessarily see from other Soviet players, is just the sheer number of conscripts that Harlen has gone for. Okay, he's not going to try and dive on the two Bullfrogs. Sometimes you can get the angle just right with Chopper VXs on the Bullfrogs, and the exchange works out pretty well, and then maybe you can get the War Factory after that, but you never know when a third Bullfrog is going to pop out of that War Factory and totally ruin your day. So in this case, it is safer just to avoid it. Both of the oil derricks going to be getting cleaned up 6.25 minutes into the game pretty much, and they're both going down. So those will be out of the equation for the rest of the match. Satellites will be getting dropped down. This Harvester gets rebuilt and then has to go offline, stop harvesting for a little ways. Imperial Warriors and Tank Busters being mixed in to the army, but for now it's going to be a 3-refinery empire versus that 4-refinery Soviets, and it's been that way for a little while. Harlen getting that bit of an economic edge. Oftentimes, Soviet players do play a less cost-effective style, almost similar to Zerg in StarCraft 2, and you end up with more units lost, which is fine for a portion of the game, and eventually it may come to bite you. But sometimes we also have Soviet players who play a very efficient Soviet game, and so that economic difference ends up being massive because they can use those units super efficiently. They can do a lot with the same economy. So in that case, Harlen is just up 6 grand in total resources gathered. Bullfrogs are going to be able to catch a couple of these Tengus as they go for the transform. One Bullfrog down. The second Bullfrog will get eliminated, and this MCV is going to have to run for the hills. The Crusher Crane will go down immediately, and these Strikers can pick off the Hammer Tank and the MCV pretty darn quickly. Strikers will kill targets like buildings so quickly if you get 4 of them grouped together like this. And MCV may be forced to soul. Yeah, he's just going to sell it off. He had a slim moment where he could have actually crushed it down and gotten maximum value for it, but that isn't going to happen. He can, of course, rebuild that MCV. Hammer Tank does go down, and there's the big transform of those Strikers. Tengu's on the ground, and they're going to have to deal with those Hammer Tanks themselves. Meanwhile, on the left side of the map, it's going to be a couple of Hammer Tanks and a couple of Bullfrogs moving out for Harlen. He killed the high ground expansion, but he hasn't touched the main base yet. Resetting that MCV and that crane. It's not the end of the game for Harlen, but obviously he would like to have it. It's not like allies losing their tech and their MCV. And of course, he does still have the War Factory. MCV getting packed up. He's going to try and run over these units. Bullfrogs are in good numbers, so those choppers cannot engage this army unless the Bullfrogs get dealt with. Couple of Tank Busters mixed in here on the ground, but they aren't going to be able to find very much of an angle. Tengus rolling up over that War Factory. MCV gets infected by a terror drone, but unfortunately there's not a second terror drone to lock it down. A couple of tsunami tanks being introduced into the game, and this MCV is close to repairs, but finally he does now get repaired. That was a crucial moment there where if he just didn't move in range, then that MCV takes more and more damage. That Hammer Tank has gone golden. He is heroic, and he is ready to fight, kill Tsunami Tank after Tsunami Tank. Tank Buster gets a lucky shot off there, ending, I think, a Bullfrog on the north side of the army, and Harlen decides to exit. He's done a bit of damage. He's bought a ton of time for that MCV rebuild. It takes a long time for the MCV to rebuild, and that terror drone gets himself a couple of kills, will eventually go down there, and the MCV rebuild is most of the way done. Again, unless you want to go tier 3, or you want to go Navy, or you want to expand, you don't need the MCV, but it seems like Harlen wants to do one of those things, and there indeed is the MCV. Could be into tier 3, could be into Navy, or just airfield. That is one piece that he is crucially missing here. No twin blades, no MiGs thus far in the game. And how often is it that you get 10 minutes into a game and a Soviet player hasn't built a twin blade? Not very often. Tengu's looking for an engagement. The building, the flak cannon, I assume, whatever this is. Yeah, the flak cannon should tip off to Zugspitze that, yes, the MCV has been rebuilt, or there was another crane somewhere out on the map, but that seems extremely unlikely. But the MCV has been rebuilt, so Zugspitze will have that information. Tanks getting tagged over there on the left side of the map. Those tank busters inside of the buildings are able to do a bit of damage there, just keeping eyes on that army more than anything. And also, it looks like the conscripts are now going to burn down that building. Little bit of health bars back off of it for those non-crusher crane supported hammer tanks. Might as well get as much value from that building as you can before you clear it out. Tengus may have spotted the bear moving up north. MCV sticking around in the main base for now. No naval yard. Oh, he just rebuilds the crusher crane right next to the super reactor. We'll see if that ends up being a problem or not. But I would love to see an airfield from Harlen. This is the one of the things that he is missing, either 4th refinery or airfield. We'll see if Zugspitze is able to deal with this pressure. Satellite drop comes in on top of the barracks. Lots of barracks being constructed by Zugspitze in this game, and he's not necessarily getting as much value out of them as he would like. This is an Empire player who was on 3 refineries and then it got beaten down to 2 refineries and then went back up to 3. This Empire player never got a 4th, hasn't had 3 refineries very consistently, and has been really struggling to keep a consistent wall up front. Strikers getting caught out over the water. The Tengus are going to be moving in to support. Tengus will find a bit of damage, but they're also being spotted by Harlen's units. A couple of tsunami tanks going to be moving into the base of Harlen. We'll see the airfield finish constructing, so at least there aren't a couple of twin blades waiting for them already built by the time they get there. Tengus getting torn apart in the middle of the map. Terror drones and hammer tanks going to be finding some damage, and that harvester is dead in the north. Unfortunately for Zugspitze, every time he tries to turn a corner and do something somewhere, it seems to just be getting put down quickly by Harlen. Harlen lost his MCV, lost his crusher crane, lost a chunk of his army, but he has been able to pivot out of it. He kept most of his army alive on the other side of the map, and now even though he's lost the crusher crane again, and he's not going to lose the super reactor, but he's still been able to pivot out of all of this, and Zugspitze is the one who barely has anything on the map, and he will tap out. The GG comes out, and Harlen picks up that first game of the series. The better economy won him out the game, even with $4 grand still in the bank at the end there. He had $4 grand that he could spend on getting a bunch of twin blades, getting up his tech, getting out a naval yard, whatever he wanted. He still had $4 grand left to spend. And that will do it for game number 1. Let's jump into game number 2, which sends us over to Battle Base Beta for our second match. Soviets versus Empire once again between these two players. A very macro-oriented game from that last one. Very standard, very straightforward from both players in that last one. But the fight for Zugspitze's 3rd refinery, which he did eventually lose there, is what helped put him further behind. Battle Base Beta, you do have sometimes 4 easier bases to defend. If you can keep the fight in the middle of the map or on your opponent's side of the map, then these 4 bases, you put a naval yard down here so you don't have to worry about terror drones, and your MCV and War Factory are up here. Or I guess with Empire, your War Factory is down here. But you have your MCV up there, and you've got your defense ready to go. you can sit on 4 refineries relatively easily. Again, we'll see if Harlen is able to break that up, but we could have a very different looking game from the Empire economy side of things. Burst Drone will be getting the spot on this. It is double reactor, which means it is going to be a delay on Tier 2. Very possibly, it'll be MCV move, refinery, and then Tier 2 with the super reactor coming up. Or it might even be refinery if he wants to go really greedy. And no, okay, he's not going out to the water, so he is just going for the high ground. He will probably get a 4th refinery on the water a little bit later. Although sometimes you see a player sneak one down here if the map gets split in a really weird way, but they're almost always winning the game when they take that location, or the game gets chaotic and very stressful if Harlen were to take this refinery location. He's either won or we're into a weird territory kind of thing. 3rd refinery coming up for Harlen. Tengu's looking to cross the map. Barrack's still alive in the middle of the map, so that is good for Zugspitze. I really thought he was going to be going for a 3rd refinery a lot more quickly. He's also going for a couple of wall placements here. We'll see how he ends up building out his walls. He is presetting them right now. We've seen in the past, Zugspitze has been tremendously successful with wall force fields, cutting up his opponent's armies with walls, essentially in the middle of battles, and using them sort of akin to force fields from Sentries in StarCraft 2, and being able to divide up armies that way. Well, that's a dead Tengu there. I'm not sure if Zugspitze just wanted to get the guaranteed kill onto the oil derrick or if he had more plans, but that Terror Drone kind of disrupting things for Zugspitze right now. We do have some pretty big wall segments getting deployed by Zugspitze. I am a little bit concerned that he doesn't appear to have a 3rd refinery anywhere. That is, okay, there we go. Now it's coming up. It is a bit late compared to the 3rd refinery of Harlen, and Harlen did go super reactor back at home, so it was 3rd refinery into super reactor for Harlen. And this is a very aggressive MCV placement. This is the wall swag build almost on steroids. This is not your typical, as you can see, he's running out of money there, so he doesn't quite have enough to be able to finish off that wall. And these other walls are going to be getting broken down. Terror Drone gets launched pretty deep into enemy territory, hoping to go, I assume, for this Harvester. We'll see if he is able to save it one way or another. Harvester goes into gun mode, and the wall segment helping to body block there. Nicely done by Zugspitze. Gets the kill on that Terror Drone, identifies the play, and is able to stop it as well. Refinery coming up. No naval yard just yet. It's going to be 4th refinery, and we'll see what Harlen goes for after that. 2 buildings to help clear out this army. 1 hammer tank is going to be going down. The 2nd hammer tank hasn't been targeted just yet. Molotov cocktails should be able to burn through these buildings, or at least force those tank busters to eject. A couple of bears going to be able to pick up a couple of kills, but there isn't much on the ground here for the Empire player. As I say that, a couple of Tengus do transform and manage to clean out a couple of those conscripts. How many bears are there? Still 2 bears remaining and 1 hammer tank. 1 building controlled by each player. A little bit of leech beam going on there, and Harlen may just be looking to wall back up and then hope that a reinforcing Tengu or 2 can bring the fight to his enemy. And I mean, yeah, if you can keep the Bullfrog out of there, then, well, your Striker might actually be able to win the day for you. This Hammer Tank may need to escape off to the right here. We'll see if this Striker manages to kill the Hammer Tank or not. And, yep, Hammer Tank is going to be going down. The Hammer Tank kind of getting stuck there. And the Bears will maybe eventually be pushed away. Zugspitze would like to be able to hold on to this barracks if he can, but he won't be able to do it. The Bear and the Imperial Warrior eliminate each other. Another Bear does go down. Satellite drop is going to be coming in, though, or maybe even toxins, as Harlen is going to be trying to shut down that refinery time and time again. The toxin drop will at least cause the Harvester to be pulled off the line for a little bit, as the middle of the map still remains unbroken by Harlen. Airfield is going to be the follow-up after the 4th refinery, and yeah, I guess from this position he can take a 5th refinery relatively easily. If your opponent is super walled up and just basing in the middle of the map, then I guess you can just take more expansions and try to win out that way. Zugspitze, skinny 3 refineries. He is not... this 3rd refinery has been doing some other work on the side. He has been making a side hustle that really distracts from his day job. So that is 3 refinery economy, but 3 refinery with some distractions. All right, MCV does get spotted. Strikers are going for the kill there. Are there bullfrogs or MiGs nearby? The answer is yes, MiGs. There are 2 of them nearby, so those strikers cannot go out there alone. They need some serious help from the Tengus, and they're just going to go for the body block. They know they can't fight the army totally, so they're just going to go for the body block. Not quite going to work. Twin Blade going to get a kill on the ground. MiG's going to get a kill in the air, and I guess the Terror Drone and the Twin Blade will have to work together to get that kill, and the Terror Drone does go down there. Meanwhile, Harlen's still trying to break into the middle of the map, and this is where you go. Zugspitze, do you have a plan beyond delay? Because it is 3 refinery empire, and I'm not sure that he's going to have 3 refineries working for very much longer. Twin Blades are out, MiGs are out, Terror Drones can work their way around the side of the map. They can sneak their way over here relatively easily, and the War Factory in the main base is at least a deterrent against attacks over there, but we'll see if is this MCV just going to take a bunch of damage? I guess that's just free damage from those Twin Blades. No real way to punish that for Zugspitze. Harlen continuing to work his way forward. A couple of units getting launched off to the side there. I appreciate the spread on the scouts from Harlen. And Harlen has a decent army here. A couple of bears, a couple of hammer tanks, a couple of bullfrogs, Twin Blades, even a conscript mixed in there as well. The bear will kind of get trapped. Harlen, he's got enough cash on hand to just keep building big wall segments. So as long as Zugspitze, excuse me, has enough money to keep building wall segments, so as long as Harlen steps forward in the right way, he can cut the army in half with a big, long wall segment. He's starting to spend that bank. We'll see if he's able to really cut this army in half. He cut his own Tengu in half on accident. Sends his Tengu forward. And no, the walls do get canceled, and now the toxins are going to be getting dropped in, so at least it will save the Harvester. But these tank busters need to get out of here, and they're not fast enough. That's a lot of cash down in Tank Buster. I didn't even realize there was a Defender VX there hiding behind that building. We have more hammer tanks and bullfrogs just roaming around the map, and other than that, Harlen has been spending his cash on airfields. Where's the second airfield? Oh, he's going 3 airfield. He's like, you want to hold up the middle of the map, you want to play tower defense in the middle. Well, I'm just going to build massive air power, and it's going to be triple airfield. No Kirovs so far, no battle lab just yet from our Soviets. Hopefully we get to see some Kirovs. Everyone loves to see a Kirov. I love to see a Kirov. You love to see a Kirov. This Harvester needs to get over to that War Factory as soon as possible. Hammer Tank's going to be able to break down one, or Tank Buster's going to be able to break down one Hammer Tank, but the rest do get crushed. The Bears were there as well. Twin Blades and MiGs going to be skating around the map, and I cannot believe that that Harvester died. Zugspitze is going to be kicking himself about that when a War Factory is right there. A couple of Imperial Warriors will go down. Tank Busters go into the ground. They hide from those bear attacks, and this is triple airfield. Lots of MiGs, lots of Twin Blades to potentially be built. 6K per minute for Harlen. 4 refineries versus 3 for quite some while in this game. And the MCV still standing strong in the middle of the map, but what is Zugspitze's plan to win? We can see part of Harlen's plan has been transition to air. His War Factory, his barracks, they have not been working particularly hard this game. He's produced a handful of units, but man, that triple airfield, that is where the overtime production has gone. That is where the cash has gone. So I guess there is a potential where strikers and Tengus are able to shred this MiG armada, and Twin Blades won't have any protection after that. So maybe there is a way that this goes, that the Empire just finds the perfect angle Strikers and Tengus, especially over land, can shred MiGs very quickly. I mean, Tengus do okay versus MiGs, especially when you have point defense drones, and the MiGs do splash damage, so as long as the Tengus aren't stacked up, clumped together, they should do okay versus the MiGs. Harvester is back online. Harlen able to execute some harassment we've seen throughout this game, but not that much. Probably not as much as a Soviet would like to normally have, but also Zugspitze on the other side of things. Not a lot of Tengu harass coming out from this guy. Not a lot of hit and run, which Empire can be very good at. Dropping Tengus in multiple locations, sneaking strikers along the edge of the map. You know, if he could have found an angle with strikers here on that super reactor a couple of minutes ago, that would have been a big reset for Harlen to deal with. But now there's so many MiGs, there's so many twin blades, that those kind of earlier game hit and run tactics are typically harder to execute. Defender takes a bit of damage there, twin blades back on off, and it's just a war of attrition for walls in the middle of the map. I cannot believe that we're 12 minutes in and this is still going on in this game. This game is almost going goofball mode between these two players. And I still wonder, what is Zugspitze's plan to win this? It would be different if he had 5 refineries, if he had tech, if he had double Mecha Bay or something, if he was going Eureka or if he was going Shoguns or anything. But he doesn't have all that much of a plan. It's like 3 refinery striker Tengu, which is not, you don't need all of these wall segments in the middle of the map to just sit on your end of the map and do nothing. Point defense drones expire once again, so we're going to see the big transform, and the point defense drones will be grouped. The units will be grouped to get as many point defense drones out as they can. Do we even have tsunami tanks in this army? I'm not sure that we do. Tank busters get run over, and now this is where we have a Soviet pincer movement. I think that's a big group of air units out there over the water that are ready to swoop in and help deal with this army. Is he just going to let his third fall? What is the plan here for Zugspitze? He's got a decent amount of firepower. If he could divide up this Soviet army, he might be able to kill the whole thing. He has to deal with the MiGs and the bullfrogs, and then everything else is easy to do. Stick everything in the air, and the hammer tanks and the twin blades die. But you know, MiGs and bullfrogs, they're pretty good, and they're also fairly agile, so they can get away from stuff. This is so many MiGs. For a 1v1 that's only, you know, 14 minutes in, this is not 40 minutes into to some game where it's been slowly built up this whole time. More harvesters getting targeted down. That one barely survives due to pulling off of the targeting by just a moment. Couple of Tengus, just one Tengu going down. Tier 3 has been purchased by Zugspitze, so we do have Wave Force artillery here. Okay, this is starting to be a plan. MiGs and Tengus going to be fighting in the middle of the map. A couple of Wave Force artillery are going to be getting sniped by these twin blades. One twin blade will go down, a second is low on health, and a third dies right on the edge. It is finally the artillery wars that we have been waiting for in this game. Harlen and Zugspitze both will find their artillery at around the same time, which is surprisingly late in this game. This was not a rush to tier 3 or anything like that, and killing those first 2 Wave Force artillery is very important for Harlen, getting the kill on those units. Toxins coming in or satellites? Toxins coming in. It's still just the tier 1 toxin drop, so he has been spending his points elsewhere in this game. Point defense drones will land. V4 rockets do not land. APOC tank is here on the front line, and harvesters have been put back to work. All 3 are working away. I feel like at this point, the units lost tab is going to be actually pretty small for both sides. They both lost some stuff, but I feel like most of the fighting has been over these wall segments. So there might be a lot of value gone, but there just isn't a lot of units that have actually died. Wave Force artillery picks off like 3 or 4 units as they pull away from the front line. That was great for Zugspitze. A couple of wall segments going down there. Now, there are still Twin Blades and MiGs over there on the left side of the map. So as Zugspitze starts posturing near this base of Harlen, he also has a threat on the other side of the map that he can't quite adequately deal with. Wave Force Artillery gets a big shot. MiGs go ahead for the scout. They move into the next position, and Refinery goes down on one side of the map. Harvester goes down on the other side of the map. A couple of Tengus will be getting jumped on. Strikers are not being produced, so there is no natural anti-air back at home for Zugspitze. His army is in the middle of the map. His MCV is low on health. I assume that barracks is for an engineer, but a couple of strikers finally do make their way back, and this King Oni Wave Force Artillery force hasn't been dealt with yet. Okay, Harlen is trying to figure out what he wants to do about this. We've had 12 minutes of nothing, and then suddenly Wave Force Artillery King Onis show up, and now Harlen is like, all right, we gotta back off. We gotta do something else. One King Oni gets grabbed, and the Wave Force Artillery, are they going to take their shot? No, they aren't going to be able to take their shot. I thought maybe they would be able to snipe it, and Zugspitze has been defeated. A couple of critical units getting grabbed there, and he isn't even going to fight it out. It's just over as Zugspitze delays the game, and then the first time he moves out, he gets grabbed, and he's not going to fight it out. And Harlen did have the economic advantage for the entirety of this game. 22,000 resources difference, basically, between these two players. And that'll do it for game number 2. And that sends us not to Battle Base Beta, but instead to Deep Sea, kind of the twisted version of Battle Base Beta, although here it actually has a different name. I never actually figured out if there were any changes between Deep Sea and the BattleNet version of this map, which is like Aquae Curule, something like that. I don't actually know if there's any changes. To my eye, it looks the same. Oh, wait, is this different? I feel like this might be different. This little extendo bit on the side, that might be different. Adds another ramp that goes up to the middle of the map, or the middle level of the map. A couple of dojos going down here on the front line. A couple of flak troopers are going to be able to break down this wall. There's only 2 Imperial Warriors, so depending on how this goes with the bears, it could be very bad for our Empire player. Okay, both of the bears do go down, so that is good. No roars got off, no, yeah, the barracks didn't get camped, which is really... Oh, he can roar through the wall, so that Imperial Warrior can't attack, but can die. Another wall is going to be coming up. Zugspitze, we tried the wall thing last time, and it did not work. We'll see if he's able to do something a little bit better this time. Spending a lot of cash on walls here right at the beginning of the game. He's going to have to cancel some of those and recycle some of their placements there, but I guess he can sell off a lot of these remaining walls. So I think the difference is on Deep Sea, it's this ramp and this ramp are the only ramps that go down to the water, and on this version there is a third ramp here in between, which does make this a much shorter distance, because you can end up in a situation where if you're here, you have to go here, and if you want to get into your opponent's base, you do have to get up to the high ground over here. It's a very awkward route that can lead to some weird situations, especially if the game gets a little wonky. This is not good. I did not realize what build Harlen was going for. Apparently it is an MCV build, an MCV rush, and a Tesla push. So this is not going well. Second refinery back at home did get canceled. Harlen, after 2 wins, decides to bust out the weirdo build for game number 3, and that will allow Zugspitze to get a point on the board. Game 4 will take us to Fire Island, as I do not think we will be seeing another Tesla coil push. But wouldn't that be amazing if Harlen was just like, you know what, I got 2 games up, now I'm going to Tesla coil push for a couple of games and just see what happens. No. Okay, second refinery does start. There's no crusher crane, nothing like that, at least not so far from Harlen. Maybe he will go for it anyways. One oil derrick is going to be getting sniped here, so I guess not even an engineer to capture an oil derrick. No, Harlen, he takes control of that area, but he kills the oil derrick regardless. And I guess that's you deny something from the Empire player, but the Empire never built an engineer, so I'm not sure how much you're really denying from the Empire player. We'll see. 2 war factories, nope, 2 refineries into a war factory for Harlen. And meanwhile, I think it's just going to be a regular double refinery into a mecha bay for Zugspitze. No big surprise there. He is going to try and wall up his opponent's 3rd refinery location. Some players do just go to the water anyways, and sometimes they do just clear out these walls. And in this case, if you got the flak troopers, we'll see if the flak trooper survives this engagement. No, he does not. Bear goes down, and actually the bear goes for a roar, so instead of getting a trade, a 1-for-1 with the Imperial Warrior like that bear did, that bear just roared and did nothing with it. Mecha Bay is up, so terror drones shouldn't be able to kill any of the harvesters in the main. I mean, they did on Battle Base Beta, so anything can happen. We'll actually see. Bullfrog and a couple of sickles are now out. It is not going to be super reactor before the 3rd refinery. Things are looking similar to Battle Base Beta, so I guess in that sense, Harlen will be very happy if he's able to get a terror drone kill on a harvester in the main. MCV packs back up, goes for maybe a bit more of a forward position. It's kind of interesting. We'll see if Harlen actually loses a sickle, no flea jump, no nothing. He's actually kind of posturing with his MCV. That is a little bit surprising. Tengu does go down. A sickle and a terror drone working to get the kill off that Tengu. Last wall segment will be getting cleaned up here by Harlen. 2 more Tengus going to be moving out onto the south side of the map, and I love these tank busters getting bold enough to actually do some damage to that MCV. And the MCV body blocking, unfortunately for that sickle, body blocking the sickle and causing some problems. At the same time, Zugspitze does manage to find a little bit of harassment opening in the bottom there, harassing both of Harlen's main base harvesters. Sickles are going to be able to pick up a couple of kills here, and this MCV is not building a 3rd refinery anytime soon. The tank busters risking their lives. A couple of them may need to go down into the ground. We'll see how good the build or the micro is from these players. Sickle will end up going down. MCV taking more and more damage, but this is also just buying more time for harassment in the south. Harlen has to deal with all of these Tengus in his main base, and his MCV is playing runaround in the north, trying to play tag with these units. Is it going to be an MCV cell? I mean, you can't do very much when you've got, you can't do very much when you've got infantry tearing down your MCV that close to your opponent's base. So that game, wow, that went very south for Harlen. We get 2 games that are extended out, slow moving, very standard games, and then we get 2 games that just light on fire, crash, and burn crazy fast from these players. So who knows what game number 5 will hold. Okay, I don't know where this is going to go because this game desyncs a little bit later, but I wanted you to look at this moment because it was just so cool what Zugspitze does here. So we've got a couple of strikers here, and we've got on the other side, we have Harlen with a Tesla coil push. So we're going to switch to Harlen's vision for just a moment, and these strikers are going to thread the needle on this high ground lack of vision where Harlen cannot see it. And that is what Zugspitze has going on right here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, and 4 bullfrogs knocked down. Not a single striker goes down. Perfect vision control there by Zugspitze. And I saw that moment, and then this game desynced, and I don't know what I'm going to do with these replays because a bunch of them are either missing or desyncing, and so it was just such a cool moment there by Zugspitze that he nailed those 4 bullfrogs with 4 strikers and didn't lose a single one. because he was able to thread the needle and abuse this lack of high ground vision that Harlen had. Harlen could have sent a scout up there to the high ground. He could have, launched something out of a bullfrog even and given himself the vision, or he could have gone airfield earlier in this game and he would have been able to delete that. But because he didn't do any of those things, Zugspitze was able to execute that perfect move there. So that is it. I just wanted to show off that cool moment, that little engagement with those strikers and those bullfrogs that Zugspitze was able to pull off. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Unfortunately, there were 3 more games, but either due to the map being unavailable or the replays desyncing before the interesting thing actually happened, I asked around and we were not able to figure out why the games even were desyncing in the first place, because from what anyone could tell, the games shouldn't desync, and we weren't able to get other versions of the replays that didn't desync. So that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed these games and that little look at that industrial strength moment. There are more to come that hopefully will not desync. And thank you all very much for watching. This is Sybert, signing out.